to the 3x5 Live
podcast.
Okay, so last week we chatted about strengths, weaknesses. Hopefully you took some of those assessments, got some good insights into your personality type and whatnot through those assessments.
Mm-hmm. This week,
we are going to talk about core values. Wah, wah, wah.
I don't know that it's a wah wah.
I used to
for
think,
a lot of people, it's a wah wah.
Yeah, I used to think it was meaningless, and I thought it was a bunch of empty words, for lack of a better term. But once I really took them seriously and learned about the filtering method, using them, that's when I was all in on core values and really identifying mine, and really my top three, and literally rating them 1, 2, 3.
Mm-hmm.
So for me, I'll share mine. It's health, then it's family, then freedom. If I don't have my health, then I can't be there for my family. And then my third one is freedom, because it's just, it drives a lot in my life of just wanting to have a life of, freedom of making decisions, doing with my time what I want to do with my time. So when things come up, business opportunities come up, Jessie and I sit down and be like, all right, how is this going to impact, our lives going through this type of filter? I mean, her filter is a little different than mine, but we both kind of look at it through these core value filters, because if all of a sudden it's a great business opportunity, and it's going to maybe give us a little more financial freedom, but it's going to take away a lot of my freedom, where I can't scoot out on a Friday to do some fun activity with a family, then it's a no. So really using core values to identify your decision-making patterns has been huge.
I love that so much. I mean, we do this work a ton with core values. And that's why when you're like, wah, wah, I'm like, well, when I go and work with schools or organizations, we do a lot of times with teams or people who work closely together, core values activities, because one, it's an awareness, again, that self-awareness, going back to last week's conversation. But two, it's trying to understand where other people in a group are coming from. It creates this empathy and compassion and understanding. However, I think where it falls flat for a lot of people is it is just words, like you said, meaningless words. Like they're like, we're just going to pick these words because it sounds great. And so the success of core values comes in how you undertake the process, right? So I use Brené Brown wrote this book, Dare to Lead, and she has a whole exercise of finding core values. I'll attach it in the show notes, where it's a list of maybe 100 words, and you take those 100 words and you give time to the people, enough time, right? I usually put journaling music on and just let them kind of go into their heads, and they start to.
What does journaling music sound like?
Oh, well, I do a lot of Zoom, and it's I can play some for you. It's like classical.
Okay, I was just curious what journaling music
calming
sounded like. Okay.
Music elicits emotion and helps us to go is a little bit more introspective. I digress. All right. So I put that on and allow them the space to really think about this, right? So they take that list of 100 words, they narrow it down to 10, they narrow it down to 5, then they narrow it down to 3, and then they rank them 1, 2, 3. Okay. And then you allow the opportunity, because that's that self-awareness piece, but the social awareness piece is to share and stand in those core values. So if it's a group of 5 people, I was a middle school teacher. I taught on a team of basically 5 teachers. Mm-hmm. And knowing this information, when a decision came to the plate and we were sitting down as a team to try to come up with a solution, it was really helpful to know what values the people in the room have, so that you understand why they're making the choices they are, right? Mm-hmm. So I think the important part with core values is, one, really narrowing it down. So for me, it's family, well-being, and contribution are my 3. And so like you said, the filter or the bucket is, this is how I'm showing up. This is my lens that I'm looking at this problem through. Is it going to take away from time with my family? Is it going to remove me from that? Is this something that's connected to my sense of well-being, mental, spiritual, physical, right? Yeah. And is this allowing me to be my best self so that I can contribute to others? And those statements literally will go through my head when something comes to my plate. We were just talking before we did this podcast that I'm a yes person. I say yes to anything. People will be like, do you want to do this? I'm like, yes, I do. Yes, I do.
And slow your roll.
Yes, right? So I have to look at my filter constantly, because sometimes I get myself involved in situations that really aren't aligned to these core values. So I guess long story long is, when you're working with this with yourself, really dialing it in and taking the time to be serious about your core values and uncovering them from that self-awareness aspect.
And not what you think other people would want your core values to be.
Right.
That's very hard.
That is very hard. Being totally honest and open with what they are. And I think that if you're looking at it from how can this help relationships, and either in work relationships or personal relationships, it's making sure that you walk your talk, right?
Yeah.
Like in Brené Brown stuff, she says you need to be clear about like what you believe and hold important, and that we need to take care that our intentions, our thoughts, our words, and our actions all align to those core values. Because you can say my core values are 1, 2, 3.
Your intentions,
words, thoughts, actions or behaviors, right?
All align with your core values.
With your core value. So if you say your core value is well-being, and then you're showing up in a way that puts that like into question, then people aren't going to take your values seriously.
Very true.
And so if you're looking at even like zooming out and looking at a bigger picture from an organization standpoint, if your organization, picks like respect and responsibility, right? But the actions of the people within that organization are not respectful, that is where the core values get the wah-wah, right? But if you look at it as every interaction we have is respectful, or being open with feedback, right? And understanding that when you have trust, respect looks a little different, because respect doesn't mean we're all super nice to each other all the time. We all agree with each other and things are just like rainbows and butterflies. Respect and trust in an organization is the ability to stand in your value, tell like openly, this is my value, this is why I'm making this decision, and then be able to offer feedback and receive feedback in a way that takes those core values into mind. Yes. Right. So I don't know, just like committing yourself and others, making sure that you are standing true to what those values are, and allowing yourself to also offer what your values are. Because if you don't share it with somebody, that's that social action.
Exactly.
Then people don't understand where you're coming from.
Exactly. Like does your partner, if you have a girlfriend, boyfriend, husband, wife, do they know your core values? Do you know your partner's core values? Because it's just so, because then you understand the lens. Like I know Jessie's number one is family. And like, if I mess with our wolf pack, like she is all over me, like, yes.
I think we talked about how
she is vicious about it. So I know that's her number one core value. And some people say family, but it's not really family, So I know that's the lens she's going to view like, hey, Jessie, can we do this? I know the first lens is going to be family. Is this an impact family? Yeah. So I have to sometimes tiptoe around it. So just the awareness of each other's core values is huge, but also filtering decision-making through those has been a game changer. It really has been.
I think parenting in itself like forces you with your partner to look at core values, because now you're responsible for creating values in a family. And we do have a set of family values too, that are very important to us. We even have them hanging up on our wall. And so those family values become, we need to walk the walk, and we use the terminology with our kids. McFarland's do hard things, right? We have health and well-being one. We have McFarland's eat plants and
are active
and eat plants, right? So that's one of ours. So that's like eating their vegetables and making sure that they're nourishing their bodies with healthy food. Like there is a whole slew of them that we use in terminology that helps with our family too.
Yep, exactly.
So we're a fan of core values. It is not a want for us anymore. It
used to be.
It is like, let's get excited and like lean into these a little bit, because you can do amazing things and you can create this solid foundation and this united front in an organization or a family or with a group of people.
Yeah. So we will link to Brené Brown's list. So then you can check that out and maybe narrow it down to your top 3.
And share them. We can share them in the Facebook community.
There we go. So if you haven't subscribed, please subscribe to the podcast. Share with a friend, like we always say. You don't like it because you can't like it.
I thought you could like it. Sorry. You can like it internally in your brain.
Yes, exactly. So have a fantastic week.
See ya.
Hello world, wake me up to another good morning. Time to go.